Oh, okay. Right, so we'll start with a few introductions to the festival team, and then we'll give you a bit of background about the festival itself. And then we've got Hannah from Public Health, who's going to give us a briefing around the COVID safety of the event and how to keep ourselves and the people attending the event safe. And then we're going to do a bit of a focus on the actual venue, the Playhouse itself, and how the event will work within there. And then hopefully we'll end with the opportunity to think about publicity of the events and the chance to ask some questions. I think probably the best thing to do is, if you have questions as they arise, is if you can pop them in the chat rather than ask them at the time, and then we'll try and answer them at the end, because we've only got quite a short time to do this now, and we've got another one later on today. So not being rude, but we'll just so that we can get through the information we need to get through, and then we'll come back to questions at the end, if that's okay. Okay, so we'll start with, oh, here comes Hilary Wadsworth. I wasn't expecting her. Okay, morning, Hilary.
Hello.
Morning.
Morning.
Okay, we're recording. Is that all right with you, Hilary? Okay, so we'll start with some introductions then. My name is Linda Glue, and I'm one of the programme managers for Time to Shine at Leeds Older People's Forum, and Hilary Wadsworth on this call is the other one. Yeah, so I'm sort of taking the lead from the Time to Shine team on the festival. And I'll pass to Leslie. Leslie, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, good morning, everyone. My name is Leslie Wilcock. I am the festival coordinator, so I'm putting all the information together and assisting Linda in actually getting the festival off the ground. My background is advertising and marketing, and I currently work at an advertising marketing agency in Leeds, and I am doing this as a project on and really enjoying it.
Thank you, Leslie. And Hannah, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Hannah McGurk, and I work in the Older People's team and Public Health in the council.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm just going to give you a bit of a background about the festival itself, and that is that so Time to Shine is a lottery funded programme that's been running since 2015, was initially to run for 6 years with a mission to learn what we can about loneliness and social isolation and how we can combat that and overcome it, particularly around older people. But I think during COVID times we have recognised that loneliness is actually affecting all of us. So that should have ended in March, the end of March this year, but due to the COVID interruption, we were offered an extension. So we're now running until March 2022. Time to Shine is part of Leeds Older People's Forum, which has been around since 1994. And the festival should have happened in September last year. That was the intention. The idea being the opportunity really to showcase everything that is available for older people in the city of Leeds to prevent loneliness and social isolation, to keep people connected. Obviously, COVID meant that we had to put the brakes on that plan. So it is happening this September. We've gone into it, I would say, with a degree of trepidation because of the concerns around COVID safety and numbers, etc. Hence what might feel like a rather rushed approach, because we have gone, should we, let's just go for it. So we have pulled this together rather rapidly in the event. But it's now happening, launching on the 6th of September and running right through to the 17th of September. So that's a week on Monday, which is scary. So that's the background of the festival itself, and the whole purpose of it really is to function around the 5 ways to wellbeing. So the events are all intended to help people stay connected, to be active, however limited that activity might be, but to stay as active as possible. To learn, either to learn new things or to reconnect with old things that they might have lost touch with. and to take notice of the environment and to give something back. So all the events are sort of centred around that. So I'll pass to Hannah, who's now going to give us a briefing around the staying safe with the COVID concern.
I do have a couple of slides, but Linda, it says that I can't screen share. Can you let me do that? I don't know what the button would be on Zoom. You're on mute, Linda. Oh, now I'm the host. Awesome. So I've got just a couple of slides, and if there's anything that you have questions about, let me know, probably in the chat, and then I can pick them up afterwards as well. Can everyone see that? Can you see my presentation? Yeah, cool. Okay. So it's got my name and Rachel's. She's my colleague, but like I said, she isn't joining us today because we've got a couple of other things to do, but I'll go through the presentation for you this morning. And so, like I said, I work in public health in the older people's team. We've been doing a lot of COVID things and supporting older people. So it's just kind of, like Linda said, to give you some tips about how you stay safe during the events that we're doing for the festival. To kind of start off, we just wanted to give you a bit of an overview of the situation in Leeds. So we do know that COVID-19 infection rates are rising again, particularly in people over 60. And we know that people kind of 60 and over are at greater risk from COVID-19, and age is a significant risk factor. So we have done a lot of vaccines. It's been brilliant in Leeds, but it's still important that we work together to keep people safe so that people can stay active and keep everyone socially connected, whilst kind of minimizing physical contact with others where possible. So just a bit of an overview about what's happening in Leeds with COVID. The rates have decreased slightly over the past 7 days, but it's a slower rate in the over 60s. So it's kind of coming down less in the over 60s. And we're continuing to monitor it. So this might all be different by the time the festival happens, because we know we've got the bank holiday weekend. But Leeds is still the second highest area in West Yorkshire. And yeah, we're expecting it to kind of go up again after Leeds Festival and other bank holiday events. So as we're moving into a new phase of living with the virus, with fewer restrictions, we've just got some kind of key advice and messages to help you feel safer and people attending your events feel a bit safer. And we do know that older people have experienced the toughest of lockdowns. So we do want to make sure that people can get back to doing fun things and enjoy the festival. I do have some information on the rates, but that's just quite numbers based, so I can let you know that afterwards if you're particularly interested. But just to let you know that it's quite dynamic, it changes frequently, and it is still something that we need to be aware of, despite the fact that restrictions are easing. So our 3 key messages, which I'm sure you all know, are to wear a face mask, keep distance where you can, physical distance, and keep washing your hands regularly. So the government are encouraging people to make their own informed decisions about wearing masks, social distancing, socialising outdoors where possible, and hand washing. We know, and I'm sure you know, that people are heavily influenced by those around us, and the social norms that we see. I know I've been on buses and no one else has been wearing a mask, and it kind of makes me want to take my mask off. But so we're encouraging you as kind of professionals and people leading events and activities, and any volunteers you have, if you could please wear a mask if you can, and continue to take those preventative measures where possible, kind of making sure venues are ventilated. And I'm sure Linda will talk through the kind of specifics of the music playhouse and whatnot. And also just encouraging others to wear masks if you can, and if you feel kind of confident doing that, that kind of social norm of all of us keeping to keep each other safe, and help us all feel a bit more comfortable whilst enjoying the festival. Another thing that we'd encourage people to do is have check-ins for venues and activities and events. So it's no longer a legal duty to do this, but we would strongly encourage you to do so. Something to clarify is that the venue alerts now don't advise individuals to self-isolate if you've been pinged. We know there's the pingdemic. So it's more if you've been pinged, you'll be advised to get a test rather than just being told outright to self-isolate. So that's just something that maybe would be useful to clarify to people as well, because you know some people haven't been signing in because they didn't want to get pinged and asked to self-isolate if they didn't have COVID. So now it's just to clarify that you'll be asked to get a test rather than being told to isolate. And then obviously if you do have symptoms or you do have COVID, then you'll be asked to self-isolate. And so this just really helps break the transmission chain and protect older people. There is a link there as well, or you can Google it, how you get the QR code. So you can do it with the government. You just need an email address and the venue address of where you're registering for, and they'll give you a QR code. Or if you just have a sign-in sheet, you may have seen those already, kind of where people can just put down their details if you record them securely. But we can either help you with that, or there's advice on the government website. So that is something we would ask where possible if people could do that. And then we've come up with some top tips about staying safe. So they are very much in line with the hands, face, space, but kind of advice that's more relevant maybe to people and how we live with the advice. So keeping a mask handy, kind of having one in your purse or your pocket, and places that you're going to have when you're out and about so you don't forget it. Remembering to keep washing your hands, possibly carrying hand sanitizer with you if you can, and using that regularly when you're out and about. Taking an extra step, so trying to keep distance from others where you can. Like we said, letting fresh air in, and then taking regular lateral flow tests or asking someone to help you to do one. You can order those online or pick them up from pharmacies. And again, if you have any questions or anything about that, we'd encourage people just to take them regularly, probably more so during the festival. If you're having a stall or an activity and you're seeing lots of people, it might make you and other people feel a bit more comfortable if you know you've taken a test. For more information and support, if you do have any questions or you want any resources or anything, there's quite a lot out there. So the first one we've put up is the Leeds City Council Coronavirus Toolkit. So that has key messages and resources to share with communities. They've got stuff about prevention, testing, self-isolation, and local support. So there's a web link there. There's also the local CCG website. So that's our NHS Leeds website. They have a lot about FAQs around COVID, what to do if you have symptoms, where to go for testing, how to reduce your risk. And then they've also got things in different languages, which may or may not be of interest depending on the work you're doing. And then we've also got the Take Care Leeds website, which has specific information for supporting older people in Leeds. So some of the work we've been doing about those kind of nicer messages and kind of how we support older people to still get out there, despite people perhaps feeling less confident or kind of, needing a bit more reassurance. So there's all of those sites that you can go to. And then we also have developed a checklist, which we can send a link to if that's helpful. And we've just tried to bring everything together into one document so that it's helpful to give out to staff rather than sending people to all these different websites. We've put it all in one checklist, and it's got kind of web links to all these different things, including training about kind of how you have conversations about COVID, and updates on current guidance if you do want to just kind of have a look before you go to an event to make sure you feel confident. So that's it from me. We didn't want to overwhelm you with too many things, so hopefully that's helpful. But if you do have questions, you can let me know as well.
3Q something or other.
Thank you very much, Hannah. Okay, so can you share that checklist with us in the chat link, do you think, Hannah?
I'll do that now.
Thank you.
Oh, good.
Right, so I can see some questions in the chat, which we'll come back to at the end of the session. But this session really is specifically about the event that we're running at the Playhouse, which is our launch event. So that actually is happening on Monday, the 6th of September. Hopefully that's not a surprise to any of you. So the event actually starts at 10:30 and it will all end at 3:30. We've actually got access to the Playhouse earlier than that, so we can get in from 9 o'clock into the Playhouse building. So I think that Leslie and I will probably be there at 9 o'clock, not expecting people to start turning up quite so early, but you're welcome to attend and set up for your event at any point after that. Some of you might be involved in, so the Playhouse itself, the room that we're using in the Playhouse is the one that's described as the foyer room, and it's vast, it's absolutely enormous. So we've divided it into 3 zones. The first zone, so the zone that you'll enter as you come out of the lift from the cafe, we're setting up as the signing in spot, but there'll also be a couple of activities in that space, something connected to Shine magazine, and then we've got the reminiscence pod in that zone there as well. And then the second zone is the activity zone. So any of you that are delivering things in the activity zone, so the taster activities, then those tables will be there for you to use as you arrive. And I think that you can arrive at any time really to get that set up so that your activities are set up and ready to roll at 10:30. And then the third zone is what we're calling the performance zone. So any of you who are doing an actual performance of some kind, so dancing, singing, that kind of thing, that will be in the performance zone, and you've got a specific slot to be able to attend for that. That doesn't mean that you can't come until your slot is available. Obviously, please come along at any point in the day, really, but be prepared for your slot actually for performing. We have got use of another space, which is slightly a separate room, which is slightly beyond that third performance zone. And you should be able to get changed in there, get yourselves ready for your performance in that particular area as well. So I've said sort of the what and the when and the where. So I think timings wise, yeah, as I say, just attend as early as you want to and be part of the whole event. You don't have to just come to deliver your performance. It would be lovely to have you taking part in the rest of the day too. The day itself will end at 3:30. So our final performance, which is the choir, will be the sort of swan song, so to speak, of the day. And we will all be kind of clearing up and packing away and hopefully be done and dusted by 4 o'clock. So that's it for the timings. I'm going to pass on to Leslie to talk about the layout of the building and entrances, etc.
Well, as you know, the Playhouse is a huge building, and as Linda has said, our space that we're working in is on the first floor. It's the foyer area, and it's up a flight of stairs or up through the lift. It's a great space because it has a very high ceiling, and it also has an air filtration system, so everything will be sort of nice and fresh and aerated really well. So in terms of having a few people together, it's probably one of the best indoor spaces we could have had. We are expecting the majority of visitors to come in through the cafe entrance, which is opposite where the bus station is, on the main road. There is an entrance at the rear in the square where the disabled parking facilities are, but we're not expecting a lot of visitors through that way, but we will be monitoring that entrance, and that entrance will have signage to point people to where the actual event will be taking place. As people arrive, we will have meet and greet volunteers, people from the team and other people who are going to be helping us out. Mostly they will be identifiable because they will be wearing dark blue festival t-shirts and name badges, so we should be fairly obvious in terms of the fact that we are helping out as opposed to visitors, and anybody that needs any help can approach any of those people excuse me, any of those people who will be able to assist you with anything you might need to know, or where to go, or whatever you need. People will come up through the staircase, through the cafe to the staircase, or through the lift. There will be somebody to meet and greet them at the top of the stairs and the lift, and we will then direct them to the registration desk, where we'll ask them to sanitize, give them an option to have a mask if they would like one, and to sign in. From there on, they are free to wander around in the facility to watch performances, or to join in, or to just take a seat. And of course, the cafe will be open all day for people to have refreshments. So effectively, we're hoping that the majority of people will come through the front door, be managed by us into the actual performance space, into the actual festival space, and that there will be enough room for everybody to be able to just mingle freely and safely within that space. There will be an area for people to sit down if they want to have a rest period, but also there will be things at the museum that they can do, like they can go and have a look at the 50-year exhibition, the exhibition of the photographs from the last 50 years of the Playhouse and things like that. And they'll be also invited to go in the Remember Pod and other things that are around freely in the day. So as Linda pointed out, the event begins with an opening address. I don't think we've actually finalised who the opening address is going to be from yet. But there will be an opening address welcoming people to the festival, and then we will be on hand throughout the day right until the end of the festival at 3:30 when everything is finished. If you want to be directed to the place where you can actually leave your items or put your get your costumes on or whatever it is you're going to be doing, give one of us a shout, because we can direct you there, and we'll be, as I say, on hand to help all day. So just find somebody in a t-shirt and we'll be happy to help you. We are aware that people like space. We're making sure that the tables and the seating that's available for the performances is nicely spaced. So we will be following COVID guidelines as closely as we can. But as I say, in terms of an internal venue, I think we've probably got a really good one for our launch. So if anybody has any questions, please just either put them in the chat or ask away.
Brilliant, thank you. And then I think, Leslie, do you want to talk through publicity and how to market the event?
Absolutely. As you know, this festival has been pulled together relatively quickly. So in the short time that we've had, we have pulled together a website, which is ageproudfestivalleeds.org, all one word. I hope you've all had a look at it. And if you haven't, I think it's worthwhile going to have a look. The website is split into Playhouse events, museum events, and local events. And local events are taking place, obviously, all over Leeds for the 2 weeks of the festival. And actually, we have over 100 events taking place. People have been so generous with their time and their facilities, and they're all different events, different types of physical, mental, virtual, live. There's lots and lots of things going on around Leeds. And what we would like to do is to make as many people obviously aware as possible of what the festival will involve and how they can take part. So there is a file with some posters in that you can print out. Linda also has some physical posters that she could send to you if you'd like to display them. There are some general festival posters that talk about the dates and what it's all about, but there are some specific posters that will allow you to fill in the details of what your event is going to be and where it's going to be held and at the times, etc. Again, we have a virtual version of that for you to print out, or we have a physical version if you'd like to have one. And I'm sure if you let Linda know, she's the postmaster at the moment, so she's dealing with all of those things. We're also on Twitter at AgeProudFest.
Oh.
And also on Facebook, Age Proud with that. And we would encourage people to share on Facebook or on Twitter. We would really appreciate that.
I think
using the hashtag AgeProudFest, that will press on Leeds TV, and we're going to try and get either Calendar or Look North involved if we can, but you know, we're pushing hard for those sort of things, but as widely as possible.
Okay, thank you. You were we kept losing you a little bit there, Leslie. I don't know if that was just me or if it was you, but I think we got.
No, it'll be my internet. It's like living in a black hole here, I have to say. So anyway, share is the key. Sorry, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so I think that's everything that we wanted to share with you. So, but I can see we've got a couple of questions, and I think we might struggle to answer some of the questions, to be fair. The question around the choir and the good practice around singing, we've asked this question and done a little bit of digging and are struggling to get a definitive answer. I think singing was one of the last activities that we were allowed to do as restrictions started to lift. There are no rules that say we can't sing, and I think it would be, personally think it would be a shame if we have to wear masks while singing, because it will really limit the expression of the whole activity. So I think what we will do is just encourage the audience to make sure they're wearing a mask when they're watching any events anyway. But I don't think we'll be insisting that the people who are singing wear a mask. But obviously I think, Rachel, the best thing to do probably is to ask your own choir how they feel, and what they feel, you know, how they feel most comfortable and how they feel the most safe.
Linda,
yeah,
I've just had a look on the government guidance as well, and it says that you can do singing, it is allowed, and they just suggest that if you do a test beforehand and if you have symptoms of COVID, obviously not to participate. Doing it in ventilated spaces, which Leslie has already said, the Playhouse should be well ventilated and it's quite large. And they kind of just say, if you space people out, so don't like crowd everyone into a small room. But the government guidance says that, yeah, it is allowed, and kind of take some precautions. But it should be okay.
Thank you. Rachel, you've got your hand up.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for that. Such really useful information. We can certainly ask our members how they feel, because when we've sung recently together, it's always been outside. So this will actually be the first time we've sung inside together for, well, since pre-COVID. But one thing that we wanted to ask was about risk assessment. So you've given us the information there, and as you said, there isn't necessarily a definitive answer. Have you done, so is our activity covered by your risk assessment, or would you want the choir to do their own health and safety risk assessment?
We have been asked to provide a risk assessment for each activity for the museum, but the Playhouse hasn't specifically asked for an activity-based risk assessment. They've just asked us to sort of provide a summary of what we're planning to deliver. So we don't necessarily need you to do your own risk assessment. I think that we can say that we've built the whole activity into the risk assessment to the Playhouse. You're also asking a question, I think it's Maggie that's asking a question about a people's choir and the publicity. Is that, that's right? You, Maggie. Sorry, has that answered your question, Rachel?
Yes, thanks. I think, as you say, conflab with the people who will actually be performing, see what we're happy with. It sounds like we don't need to wear masks unless people particularly want to, and we can have the conversation about COVID tests, I guess. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, Maggie.
Yes, I was talking about publicity. We were discussing whether we could bring our own publicity leaflets and display them in the event, as it's a sort of outreach event to attract members, encourage members.
I would encourage you to do that, actually, because a big part of what we're trying to achieve here is not that people think that in this fortnight there's all these wonderful things to do in Leeds, but actually these things are available all the time. So yeah, the whole idea really is to get people to connect to your activity. So if you want to promote your activity in your choir and encourage new members as part of the festival, that's absolutely wonderful, really. Yeah.
I'm deeply embarrassed appearing so grey and widescreen. I've no idea why. I don't normally appear widescreen, do I, Rachel? Blue. Just saying.
We might not be seeing what you're seeing, Maggie. Everybody looks exactly the same width.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
Oh, good. In my own image, I'm kind of stretched out sideways in a rich grin.
No,
oh, that's encouraging. Thank you.
You look delightful to me. Okay, so there's no more questions in the chat, but before we let you go, is there anything else as a burning issue for anybody? Is there anything we've not answered for you? No.
If anybody has any queries or anything they're not certain about, if you drop me an email at the festival email address, I'll make sure that we get back to you with the answer or the solution if that's what's needed. But we'll do our absolute best to manage all your inquiries if you have any queries at all.
Amy.
Hi, so I just wanted to check for the people like us, so myself and Emma, who will have a table. We're coming to talk about the city plan. Is it just a table set up, and then we bring whatever materials we want to?
Yes.
Is that the basic setup?
Yes,
Yeah.
the tables are very kind of like almost like cafe tables. So you can put a couple of they're square actually, I think, aren't they, Leslie? So you can just put a couple together and you'll have chairs to sit at and sit around you, or you can do it as a stand-up activity. I think the height of the table lends itself better to being seated, to be honest. It's not a trestle table, it's a dining type table.
Yeah, they are cafe tables that we're actually using that are already there. So they are ideal for sitting at and having a discussion at. So you could bring anything you wanted to, as long as you can probably display it on your tabletop.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. And Elizabeth's encouraging everybody to go and say hello and find out about the Age Proud work, which I'm sure everybody will. There was something else I was about to add and it's completely gone out of my head, to be honest. So yeah, I suppose the only thing left to say is that we're really excited about it, and really excited to see you all there and see what you all have to bring. Bear with us a little bit. It's our first ever festival, and you know, we will be kind of going on the day, I'm sure. so we can all kind of just support each other and trying to make this as great an event as we possibly can. It's obviously going to be a bit of an unknown quantity as to how many people come through the door. There could be a rush, there could be a trickle. We really don't know what to expect. But I think it'll still be a really positive vibe and a really lovely event, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you all there. Okay, well, thank you very much for joining. Oh, that's what I was going to say. If you all could have a look at the website and look at your own event on the website. So if you look at the Playhouse section of the website and see how your particular activity is being promoted, and if you want any changes making to that, if you can let Leslie know, she can edit that. Hopefully it's all in keeping with the form that you filled in and sent to Leslie. But you know, if anything's changed since then, or if you haven't filled in that form and we're guessing, then now's your chance to fill in the form and get the right details on the website.
I've seen one arrive about 8 to 9 this morning, which hasn't gone on yet, but I will put that on in a little while. But what we've had to do just to make everything readable is to maybe edit it down slightly, so there's maybe not as much detail in there as you've supplied to us, but enough to sustain interest from our potential audience.
Okay, that's wonderful then. Thank you ever so much, everybody, for coming. And I'll stop recording now and let you all go, and we'll see you on the 6th of September.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.